there's a bear in Canada that's calling right now. His name is Neil, the 604 atheist.
Who the hell is that?
He is on the line with us. Neil, how's it going, bud?
Neil, sweetie, hi. How are you?
Hi, Diana. Beautiful creature, you.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Neil is a big sweetie. I tell you, I love him so dearly. If you haven't subscribed to him, please do. Okay, that whole bit. He's got some fantastic stuff out there. What's up, sweetie?
Well, I just thought I would call in because I saw you were on the show and I thought I'd surprise you, but unfortunately Dan said something about me being a bear and,
Hey,
well, I saw you in the side chat complaining about me. Come on, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Listen, I have to save the best for last, right? That's
Oh, my. Yeah, Neil's the best. He's always...
What's up, Neil? Welcome to Truth Wanted. Back at it again.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
But last time I was actually on the show and not a call-in.
Heck
but,
yeah.
This was fun, man.
I understand it.
I see you want to talk about morality. That's what I have here written down.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
I love that.
I'll bring that up in a second here, but I just wanted to address a couple of the topics that were there earlier, especially the adoption one.
Sure.
Diana, if you need, I was adopted. All right, I was conceived in a '57 Chevy. Yay me! And
Neil, how many times are you going to tell me the story about how you were conceived in the '67 Chevy? I've heard this too many times.
57. Come
Too
on,
many
get
times
the right
just to be
decade
normal.
here.
well, come on, man, how cool is that? Right?
I'm not saying it's not cool, Neil. I'm just saying it's not what I want to think about before I go to bed at night. And I do this show before I go to bed, and so it's just the whole thing. It's just the whole thing. Okay.
All right, well, I didn't mean to preempt
You're good.
with nightmares or
You're
anything.
good,
brother.
Neil. It's all good. Anyway.
But the adoption thing, yeah, I'm very much for adoption, obviously, because I was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana, if you want someone in on your Coffee with Lavender talk about adoption, of course, I'm game. And I would take.
Wait! You're gay? Wait, I know.
Game.
You guys are ruining my show.
Let me get my paper and pencil out here. Just let me write that down. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh, Lord help me.
I think when I was down there and we were hanging out and stuff, I think I talked a little bit. I think about this with you about what's the best way do you think to respond to theists that say, how can you have morality without God?
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah.
I love this because for my own personal journey, this was one of the hardest things for me to this was one of my biggest struggles was trying to answer this question, which in some sense is almost silly now because I live my life perfectly fine and I think I'm a decent human being. But it was I did not have the concept of being good outside of having a religious belief because the religious beliefs were, all right, here's what you do and what you don't do. It was the very clear set in stone stuff. And it turns out, as we come to the conclusion, reality is a bit more complex than that. And we may not always have the right answers at all times. I don't believe I have all the right answers right now. And I may never will. But I think that we might eventually become closer to a semblance of something that's right or wrong. And obviously, what's going to affect that? A culture is going to affect that. The places that I grew up, the languages that I speak even probably have an effect on that. I mean, a lot of these tiny factors. But there's no religious belief required to believe that you're doing your best, to believe that you can be the best that you can be. And I think it really what it boils down to is, and people have different ideas of what morality is. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of that. But if I was to just simply answer the question, how do you do it as an atheist? It's just, I would do it the same way that you would. I'm just guessing here, right? I'm making the best of the situation, right? Nobody told me when I came out, all right, you're an atheist now. Here's what you got to do. You got to follow this. You got to follow that. You got to vote for this person. I just kind of figured this stuff out. It was kind of like a cascade, like a waterfall. This stuff kind of, it just made sense to me now. It's well, I don't believe in God, so maybe, these convictions I have against homosexual people probably don't make as much sense anymore. and I need to rethink that. Maybe there's other reasons why I would be in support of that rather than against that. It's a reevaluation of just, all right, I'm a human being in the world. How do I navigate that the best? And that's really all there is to it. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that, although it is. Right? But it doesn't have to be. Well, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, one thing I like is something about which Aaron Ra has spoken a number of times. He attributes it to Scott Clifton, but I've seen it elsewhere. I believe it's called the utilitarian view of ethics or the utilitarianism. That which is good or moral is that which increases well-being, decreases needless suffering, or both. That which is immoral increases needless suffering or decreases well-being, or both. And it's relatively easy to see when you are increasing well-being or when you are decreasing well-being. I mean, stop on somebody's toe and see what they do. I mean, pretty much every time they're going to yell in pain. Mm-hmm. So that's
probably
throughout. Yeah, throughout the mammals, throughout most life forms that have enough of a brain going on to recognize these things.
Yeah,
it's fairly easy to know when they are in distress. It's fairly easy to know when they're happy. Mm-hmm. So you observe that, and you say, "Oh, okay, I did this." And they started crying in distress. I don't think I want to do that anymore.
No.
Or the other way, they started smiling and happiness. And, oh, okay, I'll try doing that again. One of those deals. And the people who say that we have no basis for our morality are missing that point. No, their basis of morality is, what did I call it earlier today on Twitter? A one size fits every first temple Jew, one of those things, which, the time is way off. You're talking about something 3,000-4,000 years ago. Society has progressed since then, and it's also arbitrary.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad you made that distinction.
Society has progressed. Oh, sorry, Dan.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you made the distinction of, I mean, it is in some sense arbitrary. And I think that's where that's where they pick at you at, where it's like, well, isn't your morality just kind of arbitrary? Isn't it kind of based on you? But it's like, yeah, but like, that's all human beings have ever done, like, is trying to figure out stuff for themselves. Like, if you think about it, right, the reason why you might be a Christian is because you want to believe what's best for you. Right? Like, you want to believe, like, being a Christian has clear benefits if you believe the claims of Christianity, right? If you understood the Christian concepts as being a real thing in the world, why would you not be a Christian? Like, you can make a stand for yourself and say, oh, God's a monster or something, but like, there's clearly benefits to the Christian worldview if you are a Christian already, right? Like, that just makes sense. Sure. So, like, as an atheist, it just makes sense for me to have a consequentialist worldview or a utilitarian worldview or a mix between the two.
Yes.
Because that's what I understand reality to be. That's what makes most sense.
Pragmatic utilitarianism.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's my take on that, Neil.
Yay! I like it.
I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Well, cool.
And well, I don't want to keep you guys because I'm sure you probably got at least one more caller. I'm pretty sure it's
one more caller here, Neil.
To call you.
But Neil, it's always a pleasure hearing from you, and thanks again for calling. I do appreciate it.
Hey, betcha.
And I'm certainly hoping that I can get some cash together, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to see you at Faithless Forum.
Woohoo!
And we can perhaps sample some single malt scotch.
There you go. Get the gang back together.
Oh, hell yeah!
All right.
I'm going to do some twisting in the arms of both GM Skeptic and Holy Kool-Aid. Maybe I'll be a speaker at the Faithless Forum this year.
Ooh.
Hey, I like the sound of that. Yeah, cool. Definitely.
Well, Neil, thanks again for...
By the way...
Yeah, what's up?
I passed 1,000 subs, buddy.
Yeah! Woo!
Yeah, I saw that, man. That's beautiful.
Cool.
Now all we need to do is get me up there. Yeah, like that's ever going to happen. I'm sitting at
in time.
Thanks again, Neil, for calling in.
427 right now.
And thanks again. Yeah, thanks again for being there, watching the show pretty much every week. You're always in the chat, dude. Like, you're awesome. You're the best. Keep up doing what you do, and we'll talk again soon, bud. Cool stuff.
Take care, sweetness. Love you dearly.
Gotta love Neil. Definitely go check out Neil if you haven't already. He's thebomb.com. That man.
He's beautiful.
He is a human bear. I will not drop that. He is a bear in disguised as a man. Some sort of Canadian variety. I don't know. I'm not an expert in the fauna.
I am one of
the North, but yeah, he's a gigantic man, and I'm a big guy, so that's intimidating for sure.
I am one of the first people that he interviewed on his deconversion show, and it was such a beautiful experience. I loved every minute of it. And the fun part was that I don't have that much of a deconversion story because I deconverted early, and I started questioning maybe when I'm like 10, 11 years old. Mm-hmm. But we also switched over and started talking about my transness, and that was a very good thing to talk about. Get out there and let people know that hey, we don't have three heads and all that shit.
We don't have three heads.
Yeah, what the hell? Ray Comfort hasn't figured that out yet.